Hello, I'm Andrew Morrice. I'm a GP and a human givens therapist, and thanks very much for taking an interest in this mind-body connection course, the second of two new courses that we've developed out of the old one-day mind-body connection course that we ran between 2014 and 2021. The reason we've done this is to give more time and space for topics that either we passed over rather swiftly or which just simply weren't able to be fitted into the original days. In this second course, we're going to be taking a deep dive into two specific areas. The first of these are all the connections between nutrition, food, eating, diet, culinary practices, all of that, what we eat and how that affects how we feel and how we think. Now, the human givens model gives us a fantastic way of approaching this whole topic area because we understand within human givens how much our response to the world is driven from the emotional sphere, from the pattern matches that we've built up through our lives. And so there are two main aspects that we're going to cover to do with food and mood, as it were. The first will be to look at the way in which different dietary patterns and nutrients affect our mental well-being as well as our physical health, though we will very much accentuate psychological and emotional health in this course. And the second is to look at some interesting patterns that we get into cognitively and emotionally around food, patterns of tribalism, patterns of addiction. And specifically, we're going to look at two very important topics, the microbiome and ultra-processed foods. The microbiome has been increasingly prominent in discussions of mental, emotional, as well as physical well-being, and we're now making space for a proper consideration of that. We're also going to look at this new emerging understanding of ultra-processed food and how that affects our well-being as human beings. And then we're also going to now have time to look at sleep as a separate topic. We're going to be able to really take this in from the perspective of somebody, in my case, that has specialized in working with people's physical health, but also mental health, and often the very complex connections between those. Sleep is a vital area to understand, both in terms of what can go wrong and how we can get into difficulties and end up suffering because of poor sleep patterns, but also what we can put right, the many ways in which we can support healthy sleep, and how that relates to various conditions which we're going to encounter in our therapy work. And then we're also going to have a chance to wrap up and look at the physical movement aspects and the calming movements that are covered in the other mind-body connection course, to look at how all of this fits together. And lastly, we're going to have a look at depression as a condition and how that relates to sleep, to diet, to exercise, to inflammation. All of these newer understandings of depression and how they fit into an integrated human givens model. So there's going to be a lot of really rich content on this day, and I very much hope that I'll meet you on this course sooner or later. Thank you for your interest.